Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys awesome interviews. And today it is a privilege and honor to have Mr. Ron Thunderwood. He is the vocalist of the mighty 9Electric. They got a debut album that's out right now called The Damaged Ones. We're going to be talking to him about that. So, Ron, welcome to the show, and how's it going?
Thanks for having me, man. You know what? I'm actually just outside of New York City, and our RV is broken down in a Walmart. So definitely, I understand technical difficulties. So,
oh, no.
But we're keeping chipper. I think between me and my bass player, who used to work at a tire shop, we've become, and now being on tour like with a diesel machine, we become bona fide accidental mechanics. So I think we'll get it figured out and get to the show tonight.
What's impressed you the most about making your guys' debut album, The Damaged One? What caught your eye the most about this, man?
Let's see. The title track really was the first set of new material that I thought really had a little more emotional quality to it.
Uh-huh.
Like, we came up on the Sunset Strip and we would fill up the Roxy, and it was more like we would throw these crazy after parties and stuff like that. So it was definitely like a party vibe that people got used to equating our music to. But Casey, our bass player, again, would bring him up. He's standing right by me. He brought this track that he had recorded, and just imagine a guy singing a demo tape with an acoustic guitar who's 6'6" and broke his larynx playing basketball. He played college basketball.
Yeah.
So he really has a limited vocal range. It's basically like Lurch singing a song. But I saw through the performance and broke it back down to the simplest, the chord movement, the melody. There was something really cool about it. It was emotional and different from the other stuff. So I fought to get it made into like a better demo, and then it ended up being a really strong track. And when we went to work with Kane, who co-produced the album with Micah, our drummer, that was the first track that he went to like remix, and the demo is actually the same track that ended up on the album. It was just basically remixed by Kane. So the process was just really, really cool. And so I would say, yeah, the title track just brought out that new batch of emotional quality in our music.
How was working with Kane on this album? How much freedom did he give you guys, or did he step in a lot? Or
there was no question about freedom. He put it this way, and he said it so well, and I totally understand it. He said, "I view my job as finding those quirks that a band has that makes them original or makes them be really who they are, and like you kind of have to build that into a caricature of itself, and that way it's instantly recognizable as that band, and that's what's going to set that band apart from other people who might do things better than them anyways. You put your best foot forward by being who you are, and that's how you find your real contribution.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise you're just derivative of a bunch of other bands. So many people could cop a sound and perfect it and just do another version of someone else, but that's not what most musicians are here for. You know what I mean? You want to make your mark. And he was able to kind of pick through all of our influences and help us meld them all together into our true sound, I guess. And then the other thing that was amazing working with him was that he is not just like a really cool idea guy. A lot of producers are kind of like, they come up with some missing hook or something like that over the top of what you already have. Or the other type is they're just like a really good engineer, so they make you sound correct. He is the best of both worlds put all into one. And he's young and he's vibrant. He's just like such a cool dude to work with. So there was it wasn't about freedom or, you know what I mean, letting us, there was no real fights. It was like he brought his sensibilities to us to let us be even more free. I know it sounds kind of hokey, but it's totally what happened.
Are there any songs that stand out to you more on this album than any, if possible?
I think the oddball, and definitely one of them, is called The Little Things. And it's almost like a Brian Eno produced track. It's got jangly guitars, which we usually have like big blocky metal guitars. This one is more, to me, it reminds me of Heroes by David Bowie a little bit. And it's definitely got like an 80s vibe and a little lighter, maybe The Cure, a little bit of goth in there. So that's definitely one of my favorites, just because it's so different from our other stuff, but it still fits right alongside with everything.
How much growth musically have you seen this band go through up to this debuted album?
We've been a band about 5 years now. We've toured, I think this is our 12th tour. We're on tour with Gemini Syndrome and Stitched Up Heart right now. And you get to try a lot of material out in front of lots of people. And you figure out the elements that work and the elements that don't. We'll kind of change up our set, and you get a real. I feel fortunate that throughout that time we were able to hone in on what's going to work song wise. The one people are singing along to the second chorus already, you know. So that's what I would say was our strength going into this session, making a group of songs into an album, was that we already seen the response. So I hope that we get some kind of a little bit of that on the next album cycle, new tracks out, and see which work and which don't. But yeah, I guess that's it.
I thought this is very interesting, and I wanted your take on this, and I think this is very cool. You guys worked with the late great Wayne Static on Destroy As You Go. So, you know, and that's odd to put that in the same sentence of late great Wayne Static. That still blows my mind to this day. But how was working with him, man?
I gotta say, like, it was so wild because I had a band in high school that played at this little small place in Phoenix, Arizona, where I grew up. And I opened up for Static X before their first album had been released. And I saw this guy's crazy hair up to the ceiling, and he walked on stage, and they started playing. I believe the track was Push It. It got to Push It, and I started just breaking down the elements in my head. I was like, that's like a 2-note riff with just a like really repetitive approach. And all of a sudden, I just said, I've been going about writing songs the wrong way. Like, there's such power and simplicity, and there's such a heaviness in that. And it made me rethink so much of the way I was approaching songs and overlooking the simplicity in things. So it's funny to fast forward years later, and just through like certain turns of circumstance, our drummer had played him this track that sounded reminiscent of Static X, and he said he liked it and agreed to sing on it. And so we're just sitting in the studio, and I'm just watching through the studio window this legend in his own time, and, you know, someone who really inspired me to go in a certain musical direction. Now it's coming full circle, and he's a contribution on a track that I'm a part of. It was just a real experience. Totally incredible.
What do you hope the fans take away from the debut album once they start to listen to this, Ron? What do you hope that they get from it, man?
I hope that they like the songs. I feel like I'm a fan of songs. I could like pretty much hate a band, and then they'll produce one track, like for instance, like Jesus Jones. Not a big fan of their catalog. I don't really care what they're doing at a live show, but I love Right Here, Right Now. It's a great song. It will always have like a place in my fanhood of songs, you know? So hopefully we got some songs that people like, even if they don't like this type of music per se or something like that. And we actually do get that a lot, and I never take offense to that. People say, you know what, man? I listen to your stuff, and it's not my bag, but I really like this one song. And I'm like, you know what? That's how I listen to music. I totally get it.
What can fans expect at a show from the mighty 9Electric? What can they get, man, when they come see you guys?
I think that some people, like when I was young, I would go and see some of my favorite bands. I would have their album. I'd know all the lyrics. I'd be all excited, and I'd get there, and I'd just see these guys on stage. They look tired, and they're just phoning it in. And I made a point when I was really young. I said, if I'm ever in that position, I don't want to forget what an opportunity it is to share a moment with people. Everyone paid a bunch of money for the ticket price, and, you know, they're having beers. They're out to have a great time. So literally every night before I hit the stage, I try and touch base with that premise mentally. And with that said, it's like I'm a really physical person. I like slapstick comedy. I like extreme sports.
Yeah.
I like things that engage people in a moment, and there's a little bit of that puts people on edge, like what is going to happen next. And so we do throw a crazy show. Not just the production, which, you know, early on we had like the back wall projection, so it looked kind of like some crazy Vegas production or something like that. But I mean actually like the punk rock, like right on the edge aspect, where, you know, is someone going to jump off a 3-story riser into the crowd, or what's going to happen next kind of. And, you know, I've lost some teeth, gone to the hospital a few times, but it was always worth sharing that moment with everyone.
It ain't a concert till you lose a tooth.
Yeah, it was actually at the Dragonfly. It was pretty rough. I looked pretty redneck, man. I had to go home for Christmas with a missing front tooth, so all I wanted at Christmas was my 2 front teeth. I did get them back, though. They have technology for that now.
So do you guys prefer the digital era the way it is today? Do you guys like this style of recording, or do you want to do it the old school way and being in the recording studio to do all the...
I think that it's always important to embrace what abilities we've been able to afford ourselves, like in the digital realm. Definitely there's a heaviness and a weight to the analog sound that is always beautiful and lush. And when you can, you should employ that kind of thing. But at this point, the technology has come so far along. There's ways to soften a digital sound. There's ways to do all that. I did one album. This was like 1999. I was in a band called Opiate for the Masses for a long time. And our first little album that we put out, it was done on 2-inch tape. And it sounds amazing still, even though the songs aren't that good. So I appreciate the analog, but I think that it's all about how you use the medium to be creative. I love working with computers. I think it's opened up a whole new world for people who, you know, couldn't afford studio time in the past. With that said, you also have a little bit of oversaturation of material, but hopefully the good stuff rises to the top always, you know?
In your opinion, what does 9Electric bring to the table for music that's not out there possibly, Ron?
I think it's just how we mix the elements together. I think that's what's original. And from the feedback we're getting on this album, it's definitely hard rock. It's got an electronic edge, but it's not industrial. It's not metal. It's got all those elements, but it's got songs and some strange pop sensibility. So I guess it's up to the listener, man. I don't know what to do for you, you know?
So what made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you that said, that's what I want to do?
I would have to say it was a long time realizing that I was, you know, in my heart, a musician. Like when I was 12 years old, I ended up getting a guitar because I saw some kid playing one and I just felt like I could do that. And, but I was always a really avid listener of music, like whether it was on the radio or my parents had like records that I would listen to. I didn't realize how musical my thinking was and like how I could visualize the sounds. And so I think at an early age, I was somewhat of a composer, but not until I grabbed a guitar did I realize that's what I had been doing all along. And then I got like a 4-track recorder and I lived in a small town, like in the mountains outside of Phoenix, and there was no one else doing music. You know what I mean? It was just like me and a 4-track recorder. So I used to like rollerblade to work. I worked at this restaurant and I would save up and I would do money orders to get like new music gear. And So I'd play the bass, I'd play the guitar, I had a drum machine, and I would sing all on my own tracks. Then, like my senior year, I just started selling those at school, and that's what got me into, like, you know, being introduced to other guys from different towns who are in other bands, and that's kind of how my path went.
I know you guys have been around for several years, but I don't know if this has happened to you guys or not, but what's it mean to you when you receive an email from a fan, or prior to your shows or after your shows, they come and they say, hey, look, Ron, your guys' music has pulled me through a tough time, or it's gave me inspiration to overcome obstacles, or it's just maybe just relax to escape the reality of everyday life. What's that mean to you?
I think it's such a cool compliment. It's so honest, and the fact that I feel like just the fact that people are addressing that to you and thanking you means that they really have been helped by it. Like they have been, they have the strength to talk about it. Sometimes it's things that they never even spoken with anybody else about. There's a certain like intimate connection and appreciation that you end up having for one another, because at the end of the day, music and art, it's there to give someone an experience and to bring people together so that they're sharing some common experience, and then you talk about it. It's like a discussion, you know what I mean? And there's somewhere within, hopefully, if you're socially responsible, and even if you're not, sometimes there's some wisdom embedded in all of that, you know?
As a fan of your guys' music, thank you for what you guys are doing, and just thank you guys for everything.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Ron, how can people stay in touch with you guys? Pick up the new album, The Damaged Ones. How can they do that? And plus, your all's tour. How can they do that, man?
Hey, it's available pretty much on all the platforms that I'm familiar with. You can get it at FYE in person. And say hi to us on Facebook. We've got Instagram. We've got Twitter. We've got all that stuff. Mikey, our guitarist, is obsessively running our Facebook page. He's the person. It's not just some random person or like, you know, head of a fan club doing that stuff. It's actually Mikey keeping up to date with everybody. He's really good. So
That's
if you
awesome.
want to shout out to us, shout out to him on Facebook.
Will do. Before I let you go, you care to do a promo for the show?
Yeah, you got it, man. What's up, guys? This is Thunderwood from 9Electric, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Thanks, Ron.
Thanks so much, man.